Short stories about the American Civil War. An introduction. War is always a tragedy. There may be a winner of sorts, but always a loser. The cost in injuries, death, destruction can never be fully recovered, even if glossed over by a military or political elite that proclaims otherwise. Even further down on the scale of mankind's self-destructive baseness is civil war. One nation with two sides, locked in a ferocious fight, is inevitably more painful and more despoiling. Civilians are the bait in the trap. Two sets of values may be proclaimed, and many offer loyalty to one or the other. But society also has those who just want the space and time to live, to enjoy their family and friends, each to his own. In the American Civil War that began in 1861, the war was seemingly fought to end slavery, a war for good, the result a win for the good guys, but a society that still bears fractures from this seminal period. The stories in this volume show the true scars that are endured as a riven nation's authors try to explain and reconcile. Among their ranks are Ambrose Bierce, Stephen Crane, Willa Cather, Louisa May Alcott, and Edward Payson Roe.
An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge by Ambrose Bierce. A man stood upon a railroad bridge in northern Alabama, looking down into the swift water 20 feet below. The man's hands were behind his back, the wrists bound with a cord. A rope closely encircled his neck. It was attached to a stout cross timber above his head, and the slack fell to the level of his knees. Some loose boards laid upon the sleepers supporting the metals of the railway supplied a footing for him and his executioners, 2 private soldiers of the Federal Army, directed by a sergeant who, in civil life, may have been a deputy sheriff. At a short remove upon the same temporary platform was an officer in the uniform of his rank, armed. He was a captain. A sentinel at each end of the bridge stood with his rifle in the position known as support, that is to say, vertical in front of the left shoulder, the hammer resting on the forearm thrown straight across the chest, a formal and unnatural position, enforcing an erect carriage of the body. It did not appear to be the duty of these 2 men to know what was occurring at the center of the bridge. They merely blockaded the 2 ends of the foot planking that traversed it. Beyond one of the sentinels, nobody was in sight. The railroad ran straight away into a forest for 100 yards, then, curving, was lost to view. Doubtless there was an outpost farther along. The other bank of the stream was open ground. A gentle acclivity topped with a stockade of vertical tree trunks, loopholed for rifles, with a single embrasure through which protruded the muzzle of a brass cannon commanding the bridge. Midway of the slope between the bridge and fort were the spectators, a single company of infantry in line, at parade rest, the butts of the rifles on the ground, the barrels inclining slightly backward against the right shoulder, the hands crossed upon the stock. A lieutenant stood at the right of the line, the point of his sword upon the ground, his left hand resting upon his right. Excepting the group of 4 at the center of the bridge, not a man moved. The company faced the bridge, staring stonily, motionless. The sentinels, facing the banks of the stream, might have been statues to adorn the bridge. The captain stood with folded arms, silent, observing the work of his subordinates but making no sign. Death is a dignitary who, when he comes announced, is to be received with formal manifestations of respect, even by those most familiar with him. In the code of military etiquette, silence and fixity are forms of deference. The man who was engaged in being hanged was apparently about 35 years of age. He was a civilian, if one might judge.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?